We are live. I am live and I have company, which means we have a party today. Hello, my dears. Welcome back to my home. I hate this. Welcome to my channel. It's not my channel. It's my home. You see my home. See? That's my home. That's my bathroom door. No, that's my sleeping quarters door. You're my home. Welcome back. This is a Nose, the first and the only channel dedicated entirely to the more obscure, to the long forgotten, to the so new but inaccessible fragrances that actually nobody knows about. I'm doing my best to select the things that I think would be appealing to you. I have a huge pile of things that nobody's reviewed yet. Like I said in the past, there's so many reviewers out there in English who are doing a really, really good job that I don't think it's worth me adding to the noise. So I'm only going to be reviewing things that others haven't. Hello from Portugalia, and Raluca, and Ashfaq, reporting from Bangladesh. Hi there. Look at that from Romania. Hi, folks. So today, I was saying last week that today we're going to talk about our oud. In the meantime, summer started in California and started really, really abruptly, and it was 90-some degrees this week, and I have been sweating all my extra kilos off, kind of. Therefore, if you'd allow me, today I'm not going to talk about an oud because my nose and my brain and my hairs and my nose hairs can't take it. So no oud today. If you'd let me not do an oud today, I would be forever grateful. I'm starting to get likes. I haven't done anything yet, but hey, I'm not complaining. So today, as the title said, we will not be talking about oud, but we will be talking about something that exists on the market that is rather accessible, that can be found for better prices than what you find in stores, and that I think is an incredibly, incredibly interesting launch and a secret work by two of my favorite conceptual artists in perfumery. Teresa, finally got you live. Tell us where you're coming from, please. If this is your first time with the Nose, know that this is going to be lengthy. I talk a lot. Know that you are welcome to talk with me and with each other in the comment section. Know that usually the comment section is almost more interesting than what I have to tell you. Verena from Switzerland. Hello. Bogdana from Romania. Teresa from Switzerland. And Sounding the Depths. I love that handle. It's not oud season where I live either. In El Paso, Texas, you guys, I can't complain about heat, but I'm hot all the time. So, all right. So, for today, without further ado, I will be talking about something that is very hard to place. And it's called RODIN BIS. Olio Lusso. I will tell you all about it, but the first thing, if you're only going to watch up until here, Massachusetts, Ananda. Yes, ma'am. I will, or sir. From Gather, we have perfumers. Thank you. We will have questions for you. And Dana Pascuts, hello. So today we're going to talk about RODIN. This is the bottle. It looks like this. It's a very clean design. It's very in line with the whole line. This is called BIS. BIS means double something or a repeat of something. It's a term that you usually see in theater or opera or awesome perfume. We have perfumers. Yes, this is where the community is heading. Ladies and gentlemen, when we have parties, we have participative parties. This is not a spectacle, okay? You're not here to just see me. You're here to talk to all these smart people here. Yay! All right. Welcome, everyone. Pulp Frags from London. I can't tell you how happy I am. I'm getting goosebumps from the idea of this, and I'm pointing to the chat area. I think it's more important than just hearing me blabber. But if you're only here to hear me blabber, grab a drink, whatever your drink of choice is. It's going to take a while. Welcome, everyone, to my home. Today we're talking about RODIN. I'm assuming this is how it's read, and if it's not, I will read it this way because that's the only reference I know. RODIN, as in the sculpture Rodin. If you don't know who Rodin is, go look him up. He has some brilliant studies in hands. So apart from his thinker that everybody knows, apart from all the other big sculptures that everybody knows around the world, when he was practicing to become a sculptor, he was doing a lot of hand studies. I think those are brilliant. Exactly. It's great to have people from around the world, and it's great to have smart people who know more than I do about fragrance. Maybe not this particular one, but fragrancing, perfumery, because this is not just a channel about fragrance. It's a channel about weird stuff and trivia and perfumery and everything that's providing context to the fragrances we're talking about. Vala from Miami. Hello. So Rodin Olio Lusso is the brand. It's a cosmetic brand. It's a very fancy cosmetic brand. They are kind of riding the wave on these like luxury oils to do stuff with. Obviously, I'm not using any of the fancy stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't be looking like I've been trampled by a crowd of bulls. But hey, some people do. Oils are very successful, and some of these companies are now venturing into perfumery because they figured oils, they're already smelling, most of them. A lot of essential oils, a lot of concentrated oils have a smell, so it's not, from a business perspective, not a stretch. Olio Lusso is headquartered in New York, and at some point, this means luxury oil, okay? Olio Lusso. Lusso means luxury in Italian. I'm not entirely sure why their nomenclature includes so much Italian, but a lot of their products have Italian names. And Olio Lusso makes no exception. At some point, they decided they're going to come up with a fragrance, and they did. And for the fragrance, they hired two of my most favorite conceptual perfumer artists out there. They're not necessarily perfumers as in the maestros of Europe who are, highly educated and all of that stuff, Grasse and blah, blah, blah. Not dismissing that still holds value, but I disagree with the fact that, or with the vision that unless you have that kind of training as a perfumer, you're not a perfumer. I completely disagree. I think there are people who are incredibly talented at picking up stuff. I think there are other people who are incredibly talented at mixing stuff and matching. And I think there are people who are incredible at the technological part, the chemistry, scientific part, also required to blend the perfume. So, sometimes it's the one and the same person. Sometimes the creative director has no training in neither of the three, and still they're able to put in words a concept that then they transmit to somebody who can execute it. So there are so many parts to perfumery that have nothing to do with whether or not you were educated in Grasse that I believe that vision is antiquated. That's just my opinion. And since we have perfumers in the chat, I'm sure they're going to be happy to find out a lot of us consumers think the same. In any case, these two guys are crazy in the head, are crazy in the brain in the way that makes crazy good. There's crazy good, a lot of good and crazy. These two are the founders and noses of DS&Durga. DS&Durga are two guys. DS comes from David Seth, and Durga is a nickname for the second brother named Kavi. They created DS&Durga together with a third nose perfumer and founder, and they are known, if our friends from Europe or Asia, I think Ashfaq is with us. If our friends from elsewhere don't know DS&Durga, it's an American brand known for their very unapologetic, naturalistic-like perfumery. Some of the best-known creations are Bowmakers and Mississippi Medicine, for example. I have one of their rarest fragrances down there, and it's called Petit Grain sur Fleur. But they make stuff that's exactly. So they're a family, Moltz family, David, Seth, and Kavi. They make stuff that's strong. They make stuff that's honest. They make stuff that's in your face. One of them is a musician and another one is an architect, just so you have an idea of how their brain works. One of them is probably like freestyling to the gods, and the other one is very structural, needs formation, needs good flow and topography. In my head, I think the professional defects lead us into our work, no matter whether it's associated with what we do for a living or not. So I agree. The best things are made this way. A combination between free flow and somebody to really win, and unapologetic. As you can see, me is my middle name. So they created this partnership with Olio Lusso. RODIN is their first fragrance. There's a different RODIN launched in 2012. That one is a white flower concoction that is so strong. I don't think you can see stuff very well, because my lighting situation, now that it's so sunny, is a little bit different than what you would expect. So the first RODIN is a white flower concoction that was forbidden for sale in London because the jasmine in it was too much, according to IFRA regulations. IFRA, again, we don't always love you, just to put it lightly. Not today, Satan. So in America, RODIN is still sold. But this is RODIN BIS. BIS means a by occurrence. Again, right? A repeat of something. BIS is this. And it's not a white flower concoction. This is very hard to describe, but I will do my best because it's one of the most interesting aromatic fragrances that I've tried lately. It does have the DS&Durga signature, but it is not unlike what I would imagine a luxury oil product to be. So it doesn't contradict the company it was created for, but it does bear the aesthetic of these two crazies from DS&Durga. And I will talk a bit about this. It is listed, if you find it on forums, nobody's done a video on it, but if you find it on forums, it's listed as an animalic-aromatic, which it is. For once, I agree with this description, but I would not agree with the pyramid of notes. I don't remember it exactly. You're free to look it up. I will speak from nose. I sprayed it about 15 minutes right before I started the live. The way it applies is first a very condensed, oily green. I've never smelled an oily green. Of course, there are accords that mimic olive oil or olive flower. Of course, there can be oily accords or impressions realized with the combination between something like an immortel, for example, honey in certain combination, or honey accords and certain combinations read oily. I'm not sure what's in this, but I will tell you what my nose picks up, and maybe the perfumers can explain from a chemistry perspective from the back end what this might mean for the execution of a fragrance. The green oily is also powder. I would want to say powdery at the same time because there's a very distinct orris note, but orris crunchy. So it does have the carroty, powdery orris back end in the back of your throat kind of a thing, almost starchy, almost like tapioca. Orris and carroty at the same time, but it's crunchy and oily. It's the weirdest texture I've ever encountered in a fragrance, and it's slightly addictive. I pick up bay leaves. I'm not sure how the accord is constructed, but there's a very clear Mediterranean fat aromatic, waxy almost leaf impression. Olives, sure. Green olives. If you've ever made the mistake to bite into a green olive before it's been treated, so straight from the tree, don't do it if you haven't done it. Don't do it ever. It's bad. It's bad. It coats your mouth with something that you cannot get rid of. It's almost like eating snails, very tanninic snails. Hi, Christy from Washington. Welcome. We're talking about RODIN BIS today, a creation by DS&Durga that nobody knows about because it's not listed under DS&Durga. It's listed under Olio Lusso. So bay leaf, olive, crude olive, a little bit of bergamot, but not in the very astringent, very tea-ish kind of combination. It's more like a fresh, zesty bergamot oil. Almost, I would even guess this is not alcohol-based. It's that kind of an impression. If you've ever used a fragrance that is not alcohol-based, it's water-based, or some other sort of suspension, maybe serum-like fragrance, this is kind of that kind of a texture impression first puff. You can also smell a little bit of jasmine of the green variety. Again, it's not an indolic, deep, stinky. Here you go. Rodin as the sculpture. Rodin. It's not DS&Durga. It's called Olio Lusso. I will write it in the description, but this is the name of the perfume. RODIN BIS. There's also a RODIN Simple that is not smelling the same. I tried that one too, but they're completely different. This is an aromatic like no other aromatic I've tested before. I was saying there's also a little bit of jasmine in the very green with the leaf, with the stem. It's very fresh, like dewy, not indolic, not all the way open type of jasmine, and also straight from the beginning, a bunch of moderate spices, I'd say. When I say moderate, I mean they're not in your face. They're not hot. That's why I'm using it today instead of talking about the oud like I said last week I would do. I'm talking about an aromatic because it's really hot outside. I could not deal with hot spices. This is kind of in the mace area, fenugreek seeds area. So that kind of soft, kind of coolish aromatics that I personally very much enjoy. And there's, like I said, there's a little bit of mace, clove, something in this area with the wood, with the dusty aspects to it. Very cooling. It makes you think about a Mediterranean coast that is scorched but also breezy. It's beautiful. Hello, Cody from Chicago. Your deep dive is so appreciated. It is not camphoraceous at all, which is very interesting. I would have expected a little bit of mentholy from anything that comes through. There's no cinnamon that I can perceive, so it's more eugenolic kind of whatever it is in it. I don't know. I'm just talking about ingredients that everybody knows and has in their cupboards, because I think that's a fair way to describe something, right? If I read ingredients or if I read their list, you can do that yourselves. I'm just telling you what my nose picks up. So that's the opening. It lasts quite a while compared to other top notes, I was very surprised to see that they stay with you. They're not aggressive at all. And like I said, there's a weird, you know what this makes me think of? And I think I've said that about one other fragrance I analyzed in the past. It makes me think of, there's a Brazilian dish made with fried tapioca flour. So there's this starchiness that probably comes from some sort of green orris, newer orris from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome. But there's also a oily texture to it that makes it very, very interesting. Never ever found this combination in an aromatic context. Usually it goes towards other things, but in an aromatic context, starchy and oily and wet at the same time. It's weird and absolutely addictive to me. So that's the top. It then moves into a phase of very interesting wet flowers without the oiliness going away. That's why I'm saying it's kind of a serum type of property, because it's wet, watery, but also oily at the same time. So in the flowery phase, I smell a bunch of different things. And the transition is almost seamless, because some of those seeds that I was mentioning, particularly fenugreek, kind of move it into the flavorful, very melodic kind of territory. It moves into something floral, slightly ouzo-like, but not mentholic. So maybe like fennel seeds, fennel flowers, fennel pollen, which has a salty quality. It's actually called umami, vegetal umami, because it's flowery, anisic, and slightly salty. It provides a sort of deliciousness, savory umaminess in the back that actually I enjoy a lot. And again, makes the transition towards a more flowery phase. Out of this flowery phase, I would isolate a few. Water lily, which I don't know why my brain goes there. There's a water lily accord that is flowery and watery at the same time, almost crunchy. If you think of the tubers, even if you think of iris, it's the underground, what's down in the muck that brings the smell, not necessarily the flower itself, but you feel it. Think of lotus root, right? There's a crunchiness and again a starchiness and slight floweriness that is very interesting. Plus, it looks beautiful. So there's that watery undertone to this phase. Also here, some violet in a very natural, however they recreated, I don't remember what the violet accord is recreated with. There's a little bit of lavender that is flowery. It's not taking it into fougere. It's not cold. It's almost body temperature. This fragrance is body temperature. It's not necessarily cooling, but it's not adding onto yourself to a point where you have to like take it off to feel like yourself again. So that's what I'm saying. It's very comfortable, particularly when it's hot outside. So there's a lavender that's very sweet and flowery, a little bit creamy at this phase. I don't know what the creaminess is coming from. It maybe the lavender itself. Maybe there's some lactonic stuff in the back. I have no idea. There's a slight bit of rose, of again the green variety. It's not jammy. It's not projecting a ton. It's not very taify and super velvety. It's just like a fresh, dewy rose. And also, I'm guessing slight ylang, because at this phase, it's starting to move into a banana peel kind of territory. And this whole flowery phase lasts about it's still there on me, and that's, half an hour later. It lasts about 2 hours, I'd say, with slight modification depending on how you move, but it lasts quite a while. At some point, this banana peel, fleshy, creamy tones, I wouldn't say fruity, they're not fruity, it's banana peel, come in, and those make the transition into the third phase, which I think is absolutely spectacular because you can't tell it's there, but you can tell it's there. It lasts forever. Performance on this is fantastic. It doesn't project a lot. I make the difference between projection and sillage. I was on a live with Max Forti yesterday, and I was saying exactly the same thing. I make the difference. I differentiate between projection, which is the space around you fill up with your fragrance. When you're stagnant, when you're sitting in a chair at work, does somebody have to sit in your lap at work to smell it? I mean, I hope nobody sits on your lap at work to feel it. But does somebody need to be this close, or can they feel it in the next cubicle? That's projection. Sillage is the trail you leave, how long and how long after you've been in an elevator, somebody can tell you've been there. Some fragrances don't have a lot of projection. A lot of attars are very strong, but they're skin scents. They're very close to you, but then they have amazing sillage. And some fragrances have a lot of projection, but they don't leave a trail. So this one has a great sillage. It doesn't have a big projection. Like I said, it's a very personal scent. And after the flowery-ish, still fennelly, anisic, fenugreeky phase, it moves into an animalic that is very, very, very well blended. I'm sure some of you perfumers are going to be able to differentiate between the ingredients. I'm going to tell you what my nose picks up, and maybe you can explain, if you can guess, what's in it. The animalic phase is very vegetal, first of all. It doesn't go into the dirty, this part of an animal kind of a thing. It's more like this part of me kind of a thing. My crotch, my underarm. So I would guess there's a lot of cumin in this. I would guess there's a lot of, like I said, fenugreek, which has, to my nose, sometimes in the back of the throat, a little impression of like saliva mixed with something, a little bit of salty sweat, mixed with hair smell. Clean, but dirty at the same time, if you know what I mean. So some vegetal musks. There's ambrette in here for sure. Some cumin in here, some fenugreek in here. All of these are mixed with something that reads like ambergris, because there's a dirty, used, like I said, crotch feeling in all of this, but it's slightly salty, and it's salty in a way, like I said, you're on the Mediterranean coast, it's scorched, but there's a breeze coming from somewhere, and that breeze is salty. So there's salty aspects, they're creamy aspects, they're deep brown aspects, not fecalic, not poopies, but more like melted chocolate, melted bitter chocolate kind of a thing. Not that this smells like cocoa, but that's, the kind of brain associations that are created from this accord, which I think is ambergris accord. Whether it's recreated or natural, I can't tell. This whole thing is very well blended. And the one thing that I'm pretty sure is not listed anywhere is oak moss. This has oak moss. And this has oak moss in the very, again, deep green. Yes, I agree. This doesn't have saffron that I can pick up. So it's more in the, like I said, mace, creamy aromatics, creamy, herby aromatics. So this has some sort of oak moss, tree moss, for sure. I mean, there are a few varietals of prunastri, which are the lichen that, you know, the oak moss is coming from. But this is not aggressive. This is not entirely green, cold, damp. This doesn't go into the fougere, even though there's a lot of coumarin in it. I forgot to mention there's a lot of tonka, but not of the sweet gourmand category. It's more like hayish, but sunny hay. So dry herb, sweet. It's a very, very interesting application of coumarin. Hinoki is minimalistic and it's airy. This is not very airy because the oiliness is still there throughout. I do get creamy woody from hinoki, but it's airy again. So texturally is not at all like hinoki. I love hinoki. Actually, I like the entire series from Comme des Garçons, and I wore Sequoia for a while, and Palisander. They're all great, I think. This is very well blended. Again, I had to strain myself to feel all of these things. I love feeling all of these things. You can't describe it. It's a very weird juxtaposition of textures that shouldn't work together, because let's recap. It's oily, but it's starchy at the same time, and it's wet, like pond wet at the same time. It's also aromatic. It's also animalic. It's also hayish. It's also not necessarily green, but creamy. Not necessarily cool, but body temperature. It's not necessarily dirty, but it's not clean at all. It's a very, very happy find for me. Now, the big bottle of the first Pink Lotus, yeah, definitely. Those kind of accords. It's a very happy finding for me. I don't remember how I ran across it. I don't remember what made me buy it in blind. I do a lot of blind buying, and I have to say, most of the times I end up with things that are already like something I own. I mean, I own a lot of things. That's not hard to do. I have pretty much every single genre represented in my collection, but it's not often that I get surprised by something. Blind by Betty. I love this. I'm such a blind by Betty. So that was RODIN BIS. The bottle sells in certain stores for a shitload of money. I'm sorry I said shit in my life, but it expresses exactly how I feel. Come on, seriously. Don't do that. It's worth to know that they have a 12-month thing on their box, which leads me to believe, like I said, that this is not alcohol based. I would guess this is some sort of weird suspension, water and oil mix kind of a thing. I don't know what you can add to it to make it sprayable. Maybe some of the chemists on the line can explain that, but I have this feeling that is not alcohol based, and it's something else, which would explain why there's an expiration term. It just looks like if you open it, you have 12 months to use it, which is interesting. I haven't seen this on other fragrances. Of course, they say 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, shelf life. But I've never seen it 1 year. It's almost reminiscent of cosmetics. I don't know if they're using the same like recycle symbols on all of their boxes. I would guess not. Isopropyl myristate, which is probably a homogenizer, if I am to guess. So there you have it, folks. An interesting summer aromatic that is animalic and soft, that is very persistent but close to the body, very intimate but clean at the same time, dirty just enough, and very, very, very hard to explain. And of course, a secret concoction by DS&Durga, which will not be found on the DS&Durga list. So, if you like this kind of nerdy presentation, stick around. If you haven't subscribed yet, there's a button, I don't even know, here, over here. Make sure to tell others, because I don't do whatever, ads. I don't do ads, and I don't put ads on my videos. I don't, whatever, I don't popularize my channels enough. And it's a brand new channel, and I talk a lot, so only recommend it to people who you know would like to chat. If you know about RODIN, let me know your thoughts. And I want to do an announcement. Not announcement. I want to tell you something. I don't want to make it too official. I want to do something in the lights of all the crappy stuff that's been happening lately. I want to do something like this, and it's cheesy, but bear with me. I want to create a box. I'm going to film myself creating a box with things that I find fun from California. I want to send that box to whomever wants to participate in this community, cheesy, soft, I haven't done this since I was a kid kind of a thing. That box will leave California to somebody, one of you. I have one volunteer so far. That person is going to open the box on camera. It doesn't have to be publicly. You don't have to share with your viewers or whatever. I don't care about that. But share with me, share with the others who want to participate in this. Try or use whatever I put in the box. And then write your own note for the next person over. Put your own thing in the box. Leave mine there. And send the box over to the next person on the list. We'll then get to kind of put this, it's like a traveling box of mementos from perfume fans, collectors, perfumers, whatever you are, humans, good humans, who still know how to write to note, who still want to share from what they have with others instead of just asking, who still want to be part of a community rather than being talked at and sold to, who like getting stuff from strangers and who don't mind spending the $10, $20 it is to ship the box to whomever is next, wherever they're from. So it's going to be a traveling box. At the end, it comes back to me. I think we need to limit it to maybe 10 people, because if it's 2 weeks between shippings, that's almost a year of traveling and filming and adding things to the box. The box will get bigger probably as it moves along. And there will be some organization needed that I'm happy to take on. But anyway, this is the keep it kind, but keep it real. Let's remember what this is about type of project. So if you're interested, drop me a line. If not, don't. And just wait until the box gets to the next person, who will decide whether or not they want to make it public or not. But I think it's fun. It's a different kind of unboxing. It's a personal kind of unboxing. It's a type of unboxing that does not involve selling, ads, representation, collaborations, sponsorships, money, and other things. It's just person to person, frag head to frag head. And we get to learn a little bit about this world too, because who knows where it's going to get to. All right, so I'm guessing the first shipment is going to happen in the next 2 weeks. And it's going to England, just so you know. Just so you know. Now I have to figure out what to put in the box. Anyway, if you want to be part of this, I'm taking the first 10, 9, 8. I already have 2 people, and I'll see you next week with a very, very, very interesting rose. Everybody talks about Gothic roses. I got it, and nobody knows about it, and it's hard to find, and it's brilliant. So if you're into like super Gothic roses from a house nobody knows about that can kind of still be found around the world, let me put my email here. La Nacio. There you go. No, it's not going to be Voleur du Rose. It's going to be something nobody, absolutely nobody knows about, and it's super, 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 super good. It's brilliant. Whoever made it, we don't know who made it, but whoever made it, it's fantastic. Okay, folks, that is it. Another 40 minutes, and we are off. That's next week. Goth Rose. It's next week. And if any of you know DS&Durga, please tell them they have a fan in me. Okay. Bye.